Hello my dear friends, this is a PaintyKat. My name is Catherine and today we're going to paint with watercolor. I'm starting from the sketch transferring. Why I recommend to you to do so? Because the best time to learn something new, it's 1 hour from the beginning, and I really recommend to you print, sketch and transfer it as I demonstrated now. Very easy and effective way. And now I'm just repeating all lines. You can find all sketches from my tutorial on my Patreon. Just follow this link. Also I will leave this link below. Subscribe to me and all sketches you can use. As you noticed, I have no any flowers here on a sketch, because the shape of flowers and petals really depends from the brush. Now you can see I transferred all lines on my watercolor paper. This is very important to use a really good quality of paper for watercolor. I fixed my paper on a table with a tape, very easy and effective. And we're starting from the orange. This is cadmium orange, very pigmented. I put there lots of water. Now I'm checking how much water it's have. It's kind of transparent now. I'm using watercolor called White Nights. You can check it also following by links. And we're starting from the bird, and the first layer we're creating, this is a very colorful and smooth gradient from orange to green. I'm using brush, it's a watercolor brush shape, size big enough. This brush from the set of brushes different shaped. When we want to create smooth color transfer from orange to green, this is not looking beautiful sometimes, because orange plus green can give you unpleasant brown shades. When I want to create orange to green, I'm always transfer through yellow. So look, I started from cadmium orange. After I used cadmium yellow, I'm working now wet in wet technique. That means the area is wet enough and colors can float into each other really easy and free. I just now add more water on a paper. Now it's a green shade. I mixed it with a little bit of yellow. I like this shade. And now I'm starting from the tail and moving to the orange direction, and they meet here in the middle. A lot of water at the moment. Now I will mix a little bit of cadmium lemon. Also, this is a very nice shade to mix with green. Together, green and cadmium lemon giving a really beautiful and nice shades. So look how we transfer orange to green. Cadmium orange, cadmium yellow, cadmium lemon and green in the end. In this way you get a really beautiful and nice colors on your paper. I'm blending a little bit colors into colors, and while my bird still a little bit wet, I want to give darker tone on some parts. Here on head, I'm using ochre. It's a red tone of ochre and blending a little bit. While this area is wet, we can blend colors in it really easy. You can mix your own colors. For example, maybe you will like blue bird more. Just try shades of watercolor you have and find what beautiful, what you like to create at this moment. Watercolor, it's really paints of mood, I'd say, because it really depends how you feel inside and what you want to explain on a paper in this moment. I like at the moment some fruity shades, and I think this bird colors looking as orange, you know, sometimes oranges have a green parts on it and really looking fruity, right? At the moment I shaded a little bit area around an eye, future eye. All colors now really wet on a bird, so at this step it's a small leg. Be careful, don't connect area of leg with the body, because this shade, this brown one, can float into the body of the bird. We don't need it, we don't want it. That's it. Bird have to be dry now before we will move to the next step, to the feathers. While I'm waiting, I will paint flowers around. Today I really like some bright colors and oranges, yellowish. For flowers I will choose red and orange together. It's a scarlet red plus same cadmium orange, and I will create flowers between small twigs we have on a sketch. Shape of petals depends from the brush you're using at the moment, and just follow your brush moves. I will create 5 petals flowers. Very transparent, very light shade, lots of water in it now. It's an orange plus red. And now I will use more red. It's a clear one now without any orange in it. And I will put it in the ends of each petal. It's the same technique we used before on the bird. It's wet and wet. I created wet area first. It's a whole flower. And now I can put more color in it and it will float inside of the wet area. You can blend colors inside, you can correct, you can add more color, or you can, as you see now, I lift up a little bit of pigment. I made it lighter and softer. In my left hand I have a napkin and I can clear my brush with it. It's helping to lift up some watercolor. While area is wet, you can correct it as you like. Watercolor will spread only into wet area, but never outside of it. I will put more water inside of my flower and I will drop there more red color and spreading a little bit. Yes, this process, this technique needs a little bit of practice. And today we will have it because we will create more flowers around. Be careful, don't go too close to previous flower because if you will connect two wet area in one, colors will float into whole area if it's have connections between. So you can check. I'm leaving a really tiny distance, very tiny, very small one between two flowers. Other way, if you have lots of time and you're ready to wait, you can wait till first flower will dry completely, and after you can create a next flower very close to first one. Technique for flower the same as I demonstrated to you before, as I explained. Wet area shaped as a flower, soft and light color from the start, mixed red plus orange, and after I put more red, more pigmented for ends of petals and in the middle of flower. And again we can correct, make deeper shades, deeper tone, or we can lift up color and create some lighter area, blend it, mix it. Everything we do into wet area. Remember, I have napkin in my left hand and I'm cleaning my brush. I'm removing extra water from my brush with this napkin. So remember, you can't see it now on my video, but you have to remember about it. Also, I recommend to you to make 1 or 2 steps back and check your watercolor from the distance, time by time, because our view on painting depends from the distance. On a short distance, we can check all tiny details. Now I'm creating a bar, a small one. Steps the same, wet area, and now more dark details. Very gentle, small bar. I placed it on the end of a small tweak on my sketch, and another bar will be even smaller. That's it. So our view on paintings really depends from the distance. On short one you can check all details, you can work on details really well, but from the big distance you can check the main parts. Now my first flower almost dry here, so I can create a next one. Here I want to paint a group of 3 flowers. This is just a part of flower, maybe 2 or 3 petals. Technique the same, it's wet in wet, and correction while area is still wet. Watercolor is a really slow paint because you have to wait while one colors will float into another, and sometimes we have to wait till parts will be dry. hairdryer really helping also, but today I will not use it. And it's of course it's very relaxing way of painting. You can see now this shade really orange from the start. I like to create variations of shades. Some flowers will be really red inside and pink inside. Some flowers will be more orange. And you can see now it's very beautiful looking when colors from the bird repeats somewhere else on your painting. And I really recommend you to do the same. If, for example, you want to create this painting in another colors, bluish, maybe in a purple, just do the same. If you want to create purple flowers, blue flowers, just use same colors on your bird. And maybe another part of a flower here. You probably noticed I painted these two flowers. It's cut with the edge of my paper, and it will help to me to create this painting as not just a single branch blooming where my bird sitting. It will be a really part of big blooming tree. To create this effect, to show we have a tree, huge blooming tree around, we will create this small beautiful flowers cut with the edge of our paper. Not just one or two, you know, it's not a mistake. It's really an effect. So I painted two on the bottom part, one on top. Way of painting still the same, wet in wet. It's the first layer of painting. We will give more details after areas will get dry. Here, maybe, you know, let's create small bird also, just a small dot, red spot. Also here, you can check small tweaks on your sketch, and in the end of those tweaks, you creating flowers and small buds. Let's mix more orange here. I'm almost run out of color. And it's just orange. I think almost no red in it. So you can see really it's a variation of colors that will give more interesting final view. We used more red from the start in flower shade, and now it's almost just orange, but same red ends and red middle part of my flower, and spreading a little bit. Now I'm painting with just a tiny tip of brush. Let's create here. These two flowers will be very close to each other, So remember, we're not going really close to another area. We're leaving a tiny white line between these two. If you connected some area between these two wet areas, it really doesn't matter because shades of flowers close to each other. Yes, some color can float into another area, but it's really not make any difference. Here I will show you what to do if you made a really mistake with the color, and it's really happened to me lots of the time. For example, you put here green. Yes, it can happen, it can be blue or whatever. What to do? First, put the water in this area and remove as much wrong color as you can. You still can see a green here, right? And this is looking as a mistake. But after, when you lift up the wrong color, put there a lots of right pigment. I choose the red one. And now you can see there is no green here anymore. While I'm painting my watercolors or my acrylic paintings, mistakes happening lots of the time. It's a drop of waters. We can mask it as a bud, for example, or as other part of painting. It can be a wrong color put it inside of the areas because some brushes I can forget to clean well. For example, after bird we used green there, right? We just need to know how to fix it. Everyone doing mistakes, but it's just a part of learning process. I'm almost done with my flowers on a foreground. Again, the same effect. You can see this small bud cutted with the edge of paper. Let's create here another orange flower. And a bit of red details on the ends of petals. I think that's it for flowers, for red flowers on the foreground. We have to wait till this part of painting will dry completely. And we have to move to the next step. This is branches and twigs, and we have to connect all our flowers in one very beautiful branch of the tree, I will step from this part because flowers here guaranteed dried already, and I recommend to you to use a smaller brush than before. It's brush number 1, not the most tiny they have, but it's small enough. And what I also recommend to you, don't use black. We have lots of other dark shades. It's a sepia. It can be, let me check what I used. I used umber burnt together with the sepia here. And you can see somewhere I'm using a really dark pigmented watercolor, somewhere I'm using a lighter shade. Let's continue here. We're connecting parts we painted. We're connecting buds and flowers together. And again, no black. It's just sepia and umber. Very beautiful looking if you're creating thick and thin twigs. For example, some part of twig can be thicker and after move to the thinner part, and our blooming tree will looking very gentle. Okay, connecting this bud now. And no black. You can check it's a sepia. I'm not touching black at all. Personally, I don't like black colors, not using it a lot because especially in watercolor, if you're making it more transparent and liquid, it's just a gray without any other variation of shades, and in my opinion, color just black looking too flat. We almost can't see solid black in a wild nature. It's almost all the time dark brown or can be dark violet. Only black, I'd say it's center of an eye. For example, today we will use black, I think, for eye of our bird, and that's it. Look here, an interesting moment. It's a cross of two small twigs, darker one and really brighter one behind it. I will plan today a background very soft and light, and the background will give us in the end feeling it's a tree, not just a single branch. But first we have to connect all flowers on the foreground here. Let's do it. Remember, we're creating thin and thick. And maybe it's just a small twig here. Let's stop it here because after we will connect foreground and background. That's it, probably. Let me check if I have something left. No, it's looking like I connected all parts of my flowers together. Oh no, here I missed one. That's why I told you it's important to check your composition from the distance. I just did 2 steps back and checked from outside, from distance, if I did all I wanted with my flowers. Let's now, while I still have sepia on my brush, let's create shadow around bird eye. Now it's a layering. Layering in watercolor, it's another technique. That means you put colors layer by layer and you dry your paper between. For example, first layer already dry here, I put more sepia around an eye and blending with almost dry brush, I'm blending this color around. Also, let's detail eye. It's still no black, it's just sepia. And today I want to share to you another technique which I think are really interesting. It's watercolor plus white gouache. If you have no gouache around you, you can also use acrylic, white acrylic, also will work, and visibly it's will be no difference between. And I'm blending a little bit this layer into previous one. And next step, we have to move to the bird area. We go into detail feathers. This is really easy. Only one recommendation I can give to you here, as we're going to use white acrylic or gouache in the end, feathers have to be a little bit darker than we're planning in the end, in the final view. Here I will detail feather by feather, very easy. Painting a stripe and blending a little bit outside. Painting stripe, blending outside. So you can see a little bit of previous layer under it and darker feathers on top of it. Let's move here, just the same way. Stripe and blending a little bit. Big brush, it's dry and clean, because I'm cleaning. Again, I have a napkin on my left hand. Stripe and blend. Feather by feather, you're detailing your bird. I will mix also a little bit of blue now for more cold undertone. I just personally like how it's looking together with the green. Blue and green, just deeper green in the end. It's a part of watercoloring. You have to mix and find out what combinations of shades, watercolor shades, really fits you, really explaining your mood. Today I'm really happy. That's why colors yellow and greens and reds, because spring coming. I hope it's more warm now outside and it's really making me happy, lots of sun, but sometimes I'm really in a blue mood, not sad, just a little bit. Those times I better prefer violets and emerald green, for example, or maybe blue and violet. It's always, depends on you. That's why I like watercolor. Even if you're following a sketch from the start, you print it and transfer, and it's not exactly your sketch, for example. But after, through the color, you'll get your own absolutely unique painting. This is not a fast process, but I don't want to cut anything from my video because I believe it's helping to understand. First, you really have to plan your time for watercoloring. Also, you need to see and understand, even if people have experience, they spending a lot of work on their painting. Sometimes if you're watching time lapses, speed up versions of tutorials, you getting the wrong feeling, as it's really fast and easy to paint with watercolor. It's easy, true, this is absolutely true, but it's not fast. And that's why I demonstrating now faster process to everyone who just interesting how it's going, and more detailing actual speed real-time video about the true process, how it's going. You can see now how much time I'm spending for each feather. There is no tricks, it's just a feather by feather. But I'm really enjoying it, If you like to paint, you will enjoy each detail on your bird, each detail on your flower. This is really meditative process. Let me think, maybe I want to add a little bit orange details here. Actually, this bird, it's have a prototype. I have a photo in front of me, and the color of this bird kind of difficult to create because it's have a lots of tiny feathers, green and orange together. Trick is, as I shared to you from the start of this video, green plus orange giving a brown. You can try on a palette to check if it's so, and if I will mix too much greens and orange together without no yellow, I'll get the brown effect. I don't really like it, so I have to think maybe to skip these orange details. I'm not sure yet. I think I will add it. Anyway, we will use white gouache in the end. This is top part of wing. too dark tone in my opinion here, so I lift it up a little bit. While this area is still wet, it's really easy to do. I can lift the pigment up with a dry brush easily. I can see a small spots. I believe it's very small feathers on the back of my bird. So I will paint the same. It's just a small dots, green here, close to wing, and more orange on the back. Brush I'm using at the moment, it's not a tiniest I have, it's just a small watercolor brush. Let's create dots on the back. It's just an orange, clear white, just a little bit of spots and dots. Easy process, isn't it? But still it's taking a time to create it, and I will blend a little bit. A little bit of green here as well. I already warned you to be accurate with orange plus green, because it can give brown together, but here it's looking fine. And as well, I can see it on a real bird in front of me. There is not only greenish and orange, I can see some brown as well, and blending a little bit. Bird, it's a center of attention from our viewers, future viewers, and as well from us. So bird have the best detailization on this painting. We will give also a little bit more details for flowers, but still the most important part here, it's a bird, of course. If personally you don't like a bird or you have no time to paint it, you can paint here instead of a bird just 2 or 3 flowers. Still it will be very interesting composition. On top of a wing I put darker orange just to complete the shape of wing, and blending a little bit with dry brush again. Now you can see this shape of wing, very visible, clear visible, a bit more orange here. I will make a bit deeper tone for tail, because remember we're going to use white gouache in the end. Only now I put a bit of black in the center of a bird eye, just a little bit, tiny amount around to give the best contrast here. White dot in the middle of an eye we will put as the last detailing steps in the end of painting. I'm trying to explain each my step while I'm painting, each my thought I have while I'm painting. I believe it will help to you to get something, some experience, maybe some tricks, tiny tricks, how to paint or get an effect for your watercolor. I just, leave your comments if it's really helping, because it's taking time as well for overvoicing. It will be nice to get some feedbacks from you. It's just much more easy for me to put music instead of voice comments, and that's it. But in my view, in my opinion, for me it's not helping when I'm just looking at the process without any comments from the painter. For me it's important to understand what painter have in mind, what artist have in mind, why he choose these or those color, for example, why he put deeper tone and after lifting it up or making brighter on the next layer. My bird almost complete. I like it now. It's very contrasted. Colors looking bright. I told you this bird really reminding me about orange or tangerine, maybe. That's not mellow yet, not orange colored completely, have a side of green. Looking close, isn't it? Especially now when I completed all feathers on it. Green's now looking really deeper shaded green. I also used a little bit of emerald green, not just green, emerald green as well. It's just personally I like the shade and emerald watercolor looking always so vibrant, so bright, colorful. A bit of detailing. Small stripe between two parts of its nose, or whatever how it's calling in English. I'm too lazy now to check a translator for different part of birds. I add a little stripes here, feathers on a tail. Still no black. It's just the same watercolor tones, watercolor shades, greens, emerald greens, just deeper, less water, giving us deeper tone. No black. Video not demonstrating colors absolutely correct. Sometimes some colors deeper shaded can look as it's have a black inside, but I warn you, don't use black a lot of the time. On a first year in art school, our teacher removed black color from our watercolor sets at all for half year. 6 months we were painting without any black at all. We could look close combinations to black. Personally I find it's umber burnt emerald green plus violet. it's giving shade kind of similar to black, but exact shade will depend from proportions. How much you put to the violet or green or brown, and sometimes it was warm tone, sometimes cold tone. Also, instead of violet, possible to use blue, cobalt blue. But just imagine how interesting this experience can be. So if you're interested to do the same, try to remove black color from your box and check how many times you will think, where is my black? And if it will happen lots of time, that's mean you're really using black too much, and it's really not the best choice for watercolor. Try to create your own mixes that simulated black. Next interesting part of our painting today, this is monochromic background. I'm using sepia now, plus a little bit umber burnt to give warm undertone, and I'm painting the same flowers and twigs, but look at the color, really light, a lot of water in it. You can even think it's too light, but trust me, better to create lighter more than a deeper shaded. What we do, we repeating same shapes, same flowers, but without any details with the color, just a petals. Same way, first we creating main shapes, which is flowers and buds, and after we connecting with tiny twigs. Remember to create thin and thick twigs around. Let's create here a small bud. Here it depends if you like to create more details on the background, you have lots of time, or you can paint just one or two flowers. Here I want to paint also one more big blooming flower here. Remember, we will give more detailing as well for those big flowers, and a bud here. That's it. I have lots of water in my watercolor. It's really transparent. Let's check. We have lots of empty space here. So I will paint the whole flower. Big one. It's somewhere behind my red flowers. Now it's absolutely safe because flowers in the foreground already absolutely dry, so watercolor will not float inside of new wet areas. And a bit buds around here, and a tiny twig, and maybe a bit detailing here, because again I don't want to leave really big areas of empty paper without any details. Remember, we left with you this small tweak without any continuing, and I told you we're going to connect background and foreground together through this tweak. Small one, very dark on a foreground, and it's going on a background. It's lighter and lighter somewhere there. let me paint a bit of beautiful ends, buds, twigs, and also here we also can connect background, foreground together. That's it. Now it's looking like really dark bud, but it's not so, it's just lots of water. It will really lighter after it will get dry. Also here I have to complete these parts, and also check this twig half area where we put together background, foreground. It's starting as a really contrasted detail on a foreground and going somewhere there as a light details. Especially it's visible on this small bud, right? It's red as a part of a foreground, and it's a light gray, light sepia as a part of background. It's a very interesting way of painting, giving nice detailing without actually any hard work. Very easy to create, nicely working for any grasses, bushes with lots of leaves. Most important part, the center of view, of attention. You're painting with the colors, with the multiple colors, and all other leaves, details, you're just creating monochromical, single shade and really light. But at some points you're connecting together background and foreground, and at this point you uniting two different layers of our painting, background, foreground, looking as a single painting. It's not a parts, different parts, it's just a parts of one, let's say so. It's a small flower here. That's it, looking nice. What do you think? Let me check if I want to complete something else. Here I have some strange petal in there, so let's paint it as a flower. That's it. Let me check one more time. I think I'm done with all parts, and now I want to share to you two different ways of detailing. First, it's lifting up. If we want to create those small details inside of flowers, we can do this way. You can see I'm lifting pigment with a clear brush, clear wet brush, and cleaning with the napkin in my hand. Personally, it's kind of boring for me. Yes, it's giving sometimes nice effects, especially if you're painting on a big size paper. But today it's a really small size for watercolor, and this technique taking lots of time. Also, in my view, it's not giving a nice contrast. I'd like to have better. You can see now it's just a really light pink in the end. But what to do if we want to have a really contrasted details? First, of course, we can go darker. It's not black again, it's just a sepia. Brush now I have number 00, tiniest one. And let's add some details inside of flowers Don't miss any flower. Stamens now looking good. You can try to paint it really round shaped, but stamens actually can have a different shapes. It can be round, it can be like a drop shaped. I'm not really care now about exact shape, just making small steps with my brush, small prints of my brush. Looking more detailing, isn't it? That's it. Don't forget about background flowers as well, but I put much more water now in my sepia. Shade much lighter, but painting technique the same. It's just a small dots, small steps of my brush, print of my brush. Stamens have to be much lighter than we have on foreground here as well. It will be more lighter after it will dry. Clean your brush now really well, because next step we're going to work with a white gouache. You can use also white acrylic or white watercolor, but be sure if it's a watercolor, it's not a liquid, it's really have a thick texture. And this way of detailing, this kind of stamen, I like much more. It's just giving better contrast. Just white lines. I'm connecting center of a flower with the dark dots, connecting with just white lines. So this way you can add any details on your flower or parts of painting as you like. And also this is how we can fix a tiny mistakes. Let's complete this flower, and also I want to demonstrate a really interesting technique, coloring of white. This is the last flower, I think. That's it. Told you we're going to create white dot in an eye, and that's it. And very interesting part, it's detailing and coloring for our feathers. Color of watercolor paper today I have, it's not really white, it's looking like a soft light champagne color, so absolutely white, looking very bright here. Create small feathers like this. Let it dry, this is very important. Let me blend a little bit, probably too white here. I'm blending, just blending, correcting shape. Also, I want to put smallest, tiniest feathers on the back of my bird. It's a clear white, and most important thing here, it's let it dry. I don't know, just take a short break, get a cup of coffee, take some rest, just be sure this white layer on the bird will dry absolutely. That's it, a little bit around eye, on the nose, if birds have noses. And a little bit here, it's feathers. Here they can be lighter because of a light direction, and here as well. It's tiny stripes, very, very small, very thin. A bit of a tail, and let me check. I think I'm done. Let me check this nose also. Our bird have to breathe. And now this white layer dry. What we doing? How we coloring it? Take a brush. Short, it's not a watercolor brush, it's an acrylic brush, very short, and I mixed yellow lemon plus green together, very bright tone, and I'm toning only white parts. Look how bright, how fresh it's looking. As well, for back of my bird, for head of my bird, it's a lemon yellow. I'm touching slightly with this brush. It's not a watercolor brush. Watercolor on it, almost dry. So I'm just soft touching these white stripes and white taking a color from my brush. And look, the final effect, really awesome. This way of detailing, this technique of detailing really fits birds, fur, if you like to create small pets like cats and dogs and kittens. It's working nicely all the time. The final fur, the final details you making with white layer, gouache or acrylic, drying and slightly coloring on top, and that's it. And I think my painting is done. Need to be careful, don't put any brushes on top. Don't forget to sign your work as well. I also recommend to you put a date on the back, because in the end it will help to you to understand your progress, your own progress. Sometimes you're checking your last year painting and you're amazed, oh whoa, how I couldn't see those mistakes or these mistakes. Very helping. So keep all your works, because really process it's a slow and you can check it only if you have lots of your painting. And in the end, demonstrating to you last trick for today, it's tape removing. Don't touch it with your hands, don't try to throw it away. Hit it with a hairdryer. It's a hot air now, and that's it. Tape removed. Very easy, very accurate. Guys, it was a PaintyKat. Subscribe to me, welcome to my Patreon. Share to me your painting. I will be really happy to see your birds and flowers. And I wish you all the best. Bye bye.